The dangerous mind of an avoidant man, and how to make him attached. They appear calm, collected, even seductive in their silence. The avoidant man, he's the one who seems to have everything under control. He's charming, but not eager, present, but distant. And that combination is exactly what draws you in. You start to think he must have depth. You start to wonder, what is he hiding behind those quiet eyes? But here's the truth most people miss. What looks like mystery is often just fear. What feels like confidence is often just defense. The avoidant man isn't cold by nature. He's cautious by survival. His mind is wired to protect, not to connect. And until you understand that, you'll forever chase shadows instead of his soul. The dangerous part about an avoidant man isn't that he's cruel. It's that he's emotionally armed. His weapon is distance, his armor is silence, and his battleground is intimacy. The closer you get, the more threatened he feels. You might interpret that as rejection, but inside his mind, something completely different is happening. His nervous system reads closeness as danger. Love feels like a trap. Affection feels like pressure. That's why he can laugh with you one night and vanish the next morning. That's why he can make you feel seen and then suddenly act like you're invisible. He's not confused about you. He's terrified of himself. You see, avoidant men grow up learning that love equals vulnerability and vulnerability equals pain. Maybe he had a parent who was emotionally unavailable, who shut him down when he expressed need. Maybe he was praised for being independent when he was just lonely. Over time, he built an identity around not needing anyone. And now as an adult, he still carries that belief. If I need someone, I'll get hurt. So he disconnects before you can disappoint him. He distances before you can abandon him. That's the dangerous loop. He tries to protect himself from pain by avoiding love. But in doing so, he keeps recreating the very loneliness he fears most. When you fall for an avoidant man, you'll start to feel the emotional temperature drop without warning. He'll pull away right when things start to feel real. He'll say he needs space or that he's just not ready. You'll overthink every word you said, every text you sent, every look you gave. But it's not about you. It's about the internal conflict between his longing and his fear. The avoidant man doesn't want to be alone. He just doesn't trust connection to be safe. So he pushes you away, then misses you, then resents himself for missing you. That's the storm inside his head. And if you don't understand it, you'll drown in it. So how do you make an avoidant man attached? Not through manipulation or games, but through understanding and emotional strategy. First, stop chasing him. The more you chase, the more his defenses rise. Avoidants are hypersensitive to pressure. They interpret pursuit as control, even when your intentions are loving. Instead, you create emotional gravity by stepping back with self-respect. Show that you're grounded in your own life, that your world doesn't collapse when he distances. It triggers curiosity in him. Avoidant men are drawn to strength that doesn't demand. They need to feel your emotional independence, not hear you talk about it. Second, give his silence space, but not power. When he withdraws, don't punish him or beg for connection. Just stay consistent in your own rhythm. Continue your life, your passions, your presence. This stability calms his nervous system. The avoidant mind expects emotional chaos. When he doesn't get it, he starts to feel safe. Over time, safety becomes the gateway to attachment. Remember, attachment doesn't begin with intensity, it begins with trust. The more predictable your peace is, the more he starts to rely on it. He may not say it, but he'll start coming closer. Not because you demanded it, but because his defenses no longer feel necessary. Third, understand that emotional intimacy must come through subtlety. Avoidant men connect best in indirect ways. They may not want to sit and talk for hours about feelings, but they'll open up during shared experiences, like late-night drives, quiet dinners, or moments of stillness. They bond through doing, not overanalyzing. So instead of forcing vulnerability, invite it gently. Say things that allow him to feel understood, not judge. Phrases like, I get that you need space sometimes, or I don't need you to be perfect. I just enjoy being around you. Work wonders. You're showing acceptance, not pressure, and that's what melts his walls. Fourth, never compete with his solitude. The avoidant man values independence because it gives him control. The more you respect his need for alone time, the safer he feels, including you in it. If you make his space feel like rejection, he'll protect it even more fiercely. But if you honor it, he'll begin to invite you into his world naturally. Paradoxically, when you stop trying to own his freedom, he starts associating you with peace rather than obligation. That's how attachment grows, not through force, but through emotional permission. Here's the secret most people miss. Avoidant men attach through consistency, not chaos. They've had enough emotional turbulence in their early life. What they crave deep down is someone who doesn't demand constant reassurance, someone who doesn't explode when they need time, someone who understands that distance is not disinterest, it's self-protection. When you give them that grace, they begin to unlearn their fear. And once the avoidant man starts to feel emotionally safe, his natural warmth emerges. He'll start to open up in small ways, maybe through humor, maybe through vulnerability disguised as sarcasm. But when that happens, don't rush it. The moment you demand more than he can give, he'll retreat again. Let the connection expand slowly. It's like sunlight melting frost. However, this doesn't mean you should tolerate emotional neglect or endless push and pull. There's a difference between patience and self-abandonment. Your role isn't to fix him, it's to embody what safety looks like. If he refuses to meet you halfway after you've shown consistency, respect, and understanding, that's when you choose yourself. Because true love isn't about waiting forever. It's about creating conditions where both people can grow. And if he's too trapped in his own fear to grow with you, walking away becomes your act of love for yourself and for him. But when the avoidant man does start to feel safe, something magical happens. The man who once ran from closeness begins to crave it. He starts initiating contact, seeking your presence, showing effort in small but meaningful ways. That's the transformation point. He's no longer loving from fear, he's loving from choice. He begins to associate you not with threat, but with calm. That's when attachment turns real. It's slow, it's quiet, but it's deep. And once an avoidant man truly feels emotionally bonded, he becomes fiercely loyal because he knows how rare that safety is. So if you're dealing with an avoidant man, remember this. You can't out-analyze his fear, but you can outlast it with grace. You can't control when he opens up, but you can control the energy he feels when he's around you. Be the peace he didn't grow up with. Be the calm that doesn't chase. Be the presence that doesn't punish. And in time, you'll see his dangerous mind, once full of walls and alarms, turn into a sanctuary that only you are allowed to enter. Because beneath that guarded silence, there's a man who wants love as badly as anyone else. He's just terrified of losing himself in it. And when you understand that love to him isn't about control, it's about safety. You stop taking his distance personally. You start communicating not to prove your worth, but to express your truth. That's the energy shift that makes an avoidant man attach. Not begging, not chasing, but showing him, through your emotional maturity, that love doesn't have to hurt. And once he feels that, he won't just stay, he'll start to belong.